Hello and welcome to NC Continental Prime, reaching you live from our studio in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Benga Aboroa, and these are the headlines at this hour. Gas explosion in Lagos, southwest of Nigeria, leaves 5 people dead. Liberian ALIEU KOSIAH sentenced to 25 years in prison by a Swiss court for war crimes. And gunmen kidnap 6 senior civil servants in Cameroon. We'll bring you all the details shortly. News Central now begins in West Africa, where troops of the Nigerian army have exchanged gunfire with armed bandits who kidnapped some students of the federal government college of LIBERIAN in Kebbi State and northwest of Nigeria. The Deputy Force Commander of the Joint Force in Northwestern Region, Air Commodore Abducted, confirmed the development in Zamfara State on Friday. According to Commodore Abducted, one of the students died in the encounter, while 4 others and a teacher were rescued alive. He explained that the kidnappers were engaged at a blocking point in the early hours of Friday. Nigeria's federal government has assured that it is working round the clock to improve the safety and protection of children, especially in schools. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, made this known in the nation's capital, Abuja, as he participated in a national policy dialogue on ending violence against children. News Central correspondent Amadine Uyi tells us more.
With the rise in insecurity and kidnapping across the country, students and children have also been on the receiving end of this shameful vice.
We all know what is happening now in the country due to the insecurity. Children are not safe at school, are not safe at home, and are not safe in their communities.
Several states across Nigeria, including the states of Lagos, Ogun, Abia, Niger, Kaduna, Zamfara, Katsina, Borno, Yobe, and most recently Kebbi, have been in the news for the kidnapping of several students and children, a reflection of Nigeria's current dilemma.
In Nigeria, 88% of males and 84% of women between the ages of 1 to 14 have experienced harsh discipline. 58% of men and 56% of women have been violated at home prior to the age of 18, while 11% of men and 25% of women have been sexually molested before the age of 18.
With this in mind, experts converged on the nation's capital, Abuja, to appraise the current situation in Nigeria, which relates to the safety and protection of children, with an aim to charting the way forward for their protection.
This policy dialogue should provide a renewed action plan for the government of Nigeria towards ending violence against children.
The event, a national policy dialogue on ending violence against children in Nigeria, saw a collaboration between both public and private stakeholders being championed by Nigeria's Ministry of Women Affairs, including the Ministries of Education, the Office of the Vice President, the United Nations, and several others.
Working together with the government and other stakeholders, we need to redouble our commitment to strengthening child protection systems, increasing budgetary allocation, ensuring timely disbursement to projects that deliver practical, innovative, effective solutions to end all forms of violence against children, especially social justice, child welfare and security services.
Some of those present called on government and stakeholders to work towards achieving the United Nations and the African Union's aspiration for a world where children are safe and protected from violence.
Agenda 2040 provides a child-centered focus based on the African Union's Agenda 2063, which highlights children's rights and welfare concerns in 10 articulations. Excellencies, all relevant stakeholders must spare no effort to accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2040 for children in Africa, and the time for this is now.
we are appealing to government to promote and to bring about intervention and provision that will immediately secure the children and make their school, homes, and community safer for them.
Nigeria's vice president, who was also in attendance, assured that the federal government will leave no stone unturned in its quest to ensure the protection of children, especially in schools.
Recognizing the need to keep children safe in the digital classrooms and the need to ensure that every child is free from sexual exploitation and abuse, the government is committed to enacting appropriate laws and policies relating to cybersecurity, safety, and data protection, with a view to putting in place a robust child online protection system.
From Abuja, Amadine Uyi, News Central Television.
Now, the death toll at the explosion at Opeak Plaza in Lagos, Nigeria, has now risen to 5. The explosion, which was caused by a gas leak which ran all the way downwards towards the kitchen area of a restaurant located in the plaza. The leakage was from a broken-down tanker. News Central correspondent Bernard Akede was at the scene of the explosion and tells us more.
Well, it is a Black Friday for residents of Ikeja, particularly those who stay around Mobolaji Bank Anthony Way here in Lagos, Nigeria, because people woke up this morning to videos on social media of the popular Opeak Plaza on Mobolaji Bank Anthony Way. It was an explosion, as people could confirm, but the cause of the explosion wasn't exactly as certain until later this morning when we found out that a gas explosion was what caused the fire. Bad as this may seem, the situation could actually have been worse. The scene of this tragic explosion is a very busy area by day and by night. Structures like Sheraton Hotel by the side and Radisson Blu Hotel in front. But what exactly was the cause of the explosion?
Yesterday night and into the early hours of this morning, we had an accident that could have been avoided. A truck carrying gas spilled its contents. Ideally, every truck should have at least 2 safety valves. So in the event that there is an external force, it should keep the contents protected. Even if there's a little bit of escape, it shouldn't cost as much. Unfortunately for this particular situation, because it's a slope, the gas escaped and there was a canteen and storage facilities at the back of this facility, which caused this explosion.
Upon our arrival, we were told that 13 people were critically injured and receiving treatment. We later heard that 2 of the 13 had died. There also were 3 casualties brought out of the wreckage this morning, bringing the death toll to 5. One by one, different federal and state security and emergency agencies arrived at the scene to assess the incident.
This is a very big tragedy. I'm currently speechless because I never expected that the extent of damage would be this enormous. So my primary concern here is not so much of what we have lost in terms of properties, but the lives that have been lost. And I'm here primarily to commiserate with the families of the deceased, not particularly to grant an interview because I'm in a very bad state of shock right now.
So fortunately, those that loaded the truck now from their depots, they're already around. The DPR around, so the NLGC around, so the gas companies around, and equally the company that owns the truck itself. So investigation will reveal. And those in charge of that area will find out why was the safety measures not taken. If adequate measures have been taken professionally, by now, this would have happened.
But some of the tenants of the building expressed their displeasure at what they called slow responses of the emergency agencies, saying if they had acted swiftly last night, the outcome would have been different.
Where were they when this place was burning? You know, I mean, government must really live up to expectation by, you know, being there when we need them most. It's not in the morning that they will now say they are selling off this place, they are doing this. We need to be more proactive. Government needs to be more proactive because we've lost money now. We don't know how, how we're going to manage.
This explosion at the OPIC Plaza is yet another reminder to owners and operators of trucks and tankers carrying flammable content that if caution is not taken, their actions or inactions could lead to fatal consequences. Bernard Akede, News Central.
Moving on to Central Africa, gunmen have kidnapped at least 6 senior civil servants in Cameroon. The abductions are said to have happened in Prime Minister Joseph Dion Nguze's native Indian division in the English-speaking southwest region of the country. The senior divisional officer for Indian, Lawrence Fowang, while confirming the abductions, said the terrorists are also demanding tens of millions of Central African francs as ransom. Cameroon's English-speaking northwest and southwest regions have been gripped by a 5-year-long deadly separatist conflict. More than 3,000 persons have been killed and about 700,000 have been forced to flee their homes since the crisis morphed into an armed conflict in 2017. West Africa Liberian ALIEU KOSIAH has been found guilty in a Swiss court in the first ever war crimes conviction relating to Liberia's civil conflict. He was sentenced to 20 years for crimes including murder and rape. Around 250,000 people were killed in Liberia's civil wars and many thousands more fled. KOSIAH fled to Switzerland more than 20 years ago and was arrested in 2014. He's the first Liberian national to be tried for war crimes related to the conflict. Switzerland recognizes the principle of universal jurisdiction and allows trials in its courts of people accused of committing serious crimes in other countries. Tributes have been pouring in for former president of Zambia, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who died on Thursday. Zambian President Edgar Lungu says the country is in a state of mourning over a true African icon. In neighboring South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa has described the passing of Kenneth Kaunda as a deep and sad loss. He hailed KK, as he was popularly known, for having devoted himself and the Zambian people and supporting liberation movements around our region in the quest for independence and freedom. In Botswana, President Mogwetsi Masisi has declared a 7-day mourning period in the country in honor of the late Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan says Africa has lost a liberation fighter. The chairperson of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, also expresses condolences on the passing of Zambia's first president, Kenneth Kaunda. KK was one of the last surviving figures from the anti-colonial struggle in the 1950s. Now, in the east of the continent, Rwandan persecutors have asked the courts to hand down a life sentence to Paul Ruses's Abagina, whose heroic act during the Rwandan genocide was portrayed in the Oscar-nominated film Hotel Rwanda. Ruses's Abagina faces multiple charges of allegations, including forming an illegal armed group, financing terror activities, murder, kidnap, and arson. In their plea at the Rwandan High Court Special Chamber for International and Cross-Border Crimes in the capital, Kigali, the prosecution requested a sentence for each of the 9 charges, ranging from 10 years to a life sentence. It said the suspect does not deserve a lenient sentence because he did not plead guilty to the charges. The prosecution alleges that Ruses Abagina was behind a series of attacks against innocent Rwandan civilians in the southern districts of Inyaruguru and Mangabe between 2018 and 2019. Mr. Ruses Abagina was arrested in August 2020 in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Still in the region, the Somali National Army, backed by regional forces, has confirmed the killing of 30 Al-Shabaab militants, with 24 others injured in an operation in the country's southern Middle Shabelle region. The army spokesperson, Ali Hashi, said the operation was conducted in the Jalabe area where the militants were planning attacks against government forces. The latest operation comes amid sustained efforts by the Somali army against Al-Shabaab in the south and central regions, where militants still control swaths of rural areas, conducting ambushes and planting landmines. Moving on to North Africa, commander of the Sabah military region in southern Libya, Ahmed al-Utaibi, revealed that armed troops affiliated with the renegade General Khalifa Haftar have arrived in the city of Sabah from the east. Al-Utaibi said in a statement that they included hundreds of armed vehicles. It indicated that these factions are now stationed at a Taman Hind air base and forcibly evicted the inhabitants of the area, noting that these factions want to control the south of Libya entirely, as well as the oil ports. The military official confirmed that Sabah Command contacted the Ministry of Defense of the Government of National Unity and the Chief of Staff, but that there was no response. You're watching NC Continental Prime. Uganda begins third batch distribution of COVID-19 vaccines it received from the COVAX facility. We'll bring you details of this and more when we return. Uganda authorities began the distribution of the third batch of the COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccines it received from the global COVAX facility to address the nationwide stockouts. Spokesperson for the National Medical Stores, Uganda's central distribution hub for all public health facilities, Sheila Nduhurukire, said the vaccines are being dispatched with the main focus on the most hit COVID-19 districts across the country. The country on Wednesday received 175,200 new COVID-19 vaccines with support from the United Nations Children's Fund, the French Embassy under the World Health Organization's COVAX initiative. Uganda had run out of vaccines for its vaccination campaign targeting priority groups, with several hospitals and vaccination centers across the country reporting stockouts. Now, the World Health Organization, WHO, says Africa is in the middle of a full-blown third COVID-19 wave and there's a need for more vaccinations. The total infections have crossed the 5 million mark, and at least 7 African countries have run out of vaccines. WHO Africa Regional Director Matshidiso Moeti says Africa needs millions more doses here and now. South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Ethiopia and Egypt have recorded the most virus cases in the continent. Uganda and Namibia are experiencing a deadly third wave with dozens of fatalities recorded daily, according to the WHO. The virus has claimed over 136,000 lives in Africa. To give an insight into this, we're joined by a clinical fellow neurology and general medicine in Northern Ireland, Benga Alabi. Thank you very much for joining us on NC Continental Prime.
Good evening, Benga. Good evening, Africa. Thank you for having me.
Now, let's begin the conversation with this. Where is the continent when it comes to COVID-19 as we speak?
Yeah, you see what the Director General of the African region of the WHO said, and he's told us that Africa is in the third wave. And I think I quite agree with her, because even the Western countries are trying to ensure they delay the full opening of the economy and even the country because of some increasing cases. And Africa does not seem to be immune to what is happening all over the world. So that's what we think.
Now, what's responsible for this third wave of coronavirus we're witnessing on the continent?
Yeah, it's just simple. You see, the principle of treatment of this is you test, isolate, and treat. That's the key thing. And So the isolation is just to ensure that you take out those who have the disease to ensure they do not infect the others. And one of the important way of preventing the spread is to ensure you vaccinate. And I was reading a text today, and I saw that less than 1% of African, the number of population in Africa is actually fully vaccinated as we see the two doses. Unlike what we have in some part of the Western world, we see that the coverage in the UK is almost close to 50, 60% or more. And just less than 1% in Africa. That's a very small percentage. And you said it in the news that over 136,000 deaths have been recorded, and we've had over 48 million cases of COVID-19 infection.
Yes.
So that tells you that there is a burden of the disease, but Africa does not seem to know that it is really, really serious. We should not expect to get donation from the Western world alone for our vaccination. We should also actively procure our own vaccination or develop our indigenous vaccination to ensure that we have people who become immune, or we have herd immunity in the African continent.
Now, there's been a debate over lockdowns, if they're really effective or not. And you do understand the peculiarities of Africa. People need to go out to earn a daily living. So there's the economic consideration, and then there's health. Are lockdowns generally effective? And considering the economies of African countries, is there any other way we could go around this without imposing lockdowns that we've seen in the United States and parts of Europe?
Yeah, lockdown is effective if we practice it very well. We see that when we were locked down in Nigeria around, I think, March last year, the lockdown was just active, I would say, for just 2 weeks. Other than that, people went out to the streets because we have a poor economy, and the government know that they couldn't even sustain the lockdown. Now, if we can't lock down the continent for economic reasons, then we must be able to ensure that we appropriately test, contact trace, and ensure we treat the affected. And then those that are unaffected, we ensure we mop up our vaccination program to ensure that majority of the African continent, people in the African continent become vaccinated. With that, and putting all those measures in place, the physical distancing, hand washing, and I said physical, not social distancing. Physical distancing, hand washing, and so many other non-pharmacological interventions. I think Africa should be able to win the fight against COVID-19.
Now, there's a lot of vaccine hesitancy, not just in Africa, but all over the world. And we do know that these vaccines have been rolled out in for emergency use in record time. We know how the process of development of vaccines go. But the United States and European Medical Association has said they are fit for use, and people should get vaccinated as a way of slowing down the spread of the coronavirus. What message do you have for Africans who are hesitant on taking the vaccines and people in general?
The message is simple. The process by which Sir Alexander Fleming developed the vaccine in the 50s has improved over time. And now we have a shorter period to develop vaccine. There are different theories. And now we have developed a vaccine using the messenger RNA technology, which makes it faster to develop vaccine. And this technology is not only used for COVID-19. We'll see that I'm sure probably in the last 1 or 2 months, you'll hear of developing the malaria vaccine, which also uses the same technology. This vaccine is safe, and it does no harm so far as meta-analysis have been done on people who have had the vaccine. And we can see the effectiveness of this vaccine in the Western countries. The numbers are down. The severity of the disease in affected individuals is reduced. The number of admissions in the ICU is on the lower limits now. And that tells you that just 2 days ago, Even the UK recorded the lowest number they ever had in 24 hours, I think less than 243 or so. That tells you that this vaccine is working, this vaccine is effective, and I encourage Africans to ensure they subscribe and get vaccinated. And the government should also ensure they roll out this vaccine to ensure that it is not only for the health worker or the athletes. They should ensure that all individuals living in Africa get vaccinated, get the 2 doses, and then let's wait and watch what happens.
On that note, I'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Gbenga Alabi. Thanks for your insights on the subject matter. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Gbenga.
There are at least 5,573 deaths from malaria have been registered within the first 5 months of 2021, according to the country's Health Minister, Sylvia Letukuta. Speaking at a press conference, the minister said that Angola is facing a critical and challenging situation in relation to malaria. The disease has now affected more than 2 million persons in the same period. According to data provided to journalists, the highest mortality rate from the disease was registered amongst children under 5 years of age and pregnant women. You're watching NC Continental Prime. Still ahead on the news, United Nations worried over impact of global conflict as the number of displaced persons increases. More on this when we return. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of people fleeing wars, violence, persecution and human rights violations in 2020 rose to nearly 82.4 million people. That is according to the UNHCR's latest annual Global Trends report released today. This is a further 4% increase on top of the already record high 79.5 million at the end of 2019. The report shows that by the end of 2020, there were 20.7 million refugees on the UNHCR mandate, 5.7 million Palestinian refugees, and 3.9 million Venezuelans displaced abroad. Another 48 million people were internally displaced persons within their own countries. A further 4.1 million were asylum seekers. These numbers indicate that despite the pandemic and calls for a global ceasefire, conflict continued to chase people from their homes. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has been reappointed for a second term. Guterres pledged his priority to continue helping the world chart a course out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Guterres was the sole candidate from the United Nations 193 member states to vie for its top job. His first term began in January 2017. He was nominated by his homeland, Portugal, and appointed by the acclamation by the General Assembly following prior endorsement by the United Nations Security Council for a second term that runs from January 2022 to December 2026. It called for seizing momentum for transformation while also stressing the need to bring all the voices to the table, including civil society, the private sector, and youth.
I, Antonio Guterres.
I, Antonio Guterres.
Solemnly swear to exercise in all loyalty.
Solemnly swear to exercise in all loyalty.
Discretion and conscience.
Discretion and conscience.
The functions entrusted to me.
The functions entrusted to me.
As Secretary General of the United Nations.
As Secretary General of the United Nations. I'm acutely aware of the immense responsibilities you are entrusting me at such a critical moment in history, dare I say, at the cusp of a new era. We are truly at the crossroads, with the consequential choices before us. Paradigms are shifting, old orthodoxies are being flipped, and we are writing our own history with the choices we make right now. It can go either way, break down and perpetual crisis, or break through and prospect of a greener, safer and better future for all.
Now in business, the Nigerian Stock Exchange informed all trading license holders and the investing public that trading in the shares of Guarantee Trust Bank PLC, the bank, has been suspended today, Friday 18th June 2021. The suspension is necessary to prevent trading in the shares of the bank in preparation for the eventual delisting of the Guarantee Trust Bank PLC from the daily official list of the Nigerian Exchange Limited and listing of the holding company Guarantee Trust Holding PLC on NGX. Tolulope Adelero Balogun is here with the rest of the business news.
Welcome to Business on NC Continental Prime. It seems there will be one more stumbling block on the way to stable electricity in South Africa. The Center for Environmental Rights, a group of lawyers, filed a complaint to South Africa's Environment Department on behalf of Groundwork, an activist group, asking for the approval process to be halted in 2 of the 3 locations where the ships could be moored. The complaint adds to an earlier one filed by Green Connection that led to the approval process being halted in the 3rd location. Groundwork said the 3 applications by Car Power Ship were very similar, and the presence of the ships could harm sea life and ecosystems. Car Power Ship said it is not immediately aware of the complaint. Car Power Ship is seeking to supply South Africa with 1,220 megawatts of electricity from 3 ship-based power plants. This second complaint from environmental activists could slow or even upend its plans. 8 out of the 19 common market for Eastern and Southern African countries have so far signed the solemn commitments for the establishment of the single African air transport market. They are the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Eswatini, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. This initiative is led by the African Union through the African Civil Aviation Commission. The goal of the single African air transport market is to fully implement the 1999 Yamoussoukro Declaration, which is to allow all participating countries to lift market access restrictions for airlines, remove restrictions on ownership, grant each other extended air traffic rights, and liberalize flight frequency and capacity limits. AngloGold Ashanti's shares dropped by 35% in the past year, making it the worst performing stock in the 113-company Bloomberg World Mining Index. With the lack of a permanent CEO and a suspension of its Ghana mine operations, AngloGold Ashanti has had a bad year. It also trails its peers on South Africa's FTSE and JSE Precious Metals and Mining Index, which gained 17% in the same period. The stock plunged 4.1% today in Johannesburg. 5 months after CEO Kelvin Dushnevsky announced his resignation, the company's chairperson quit, and in May it had to suspend operations at its Ghana mine following an accident. However, with shares now cheap compared with peers, analysts see potential for more stock buy-in. The Central Bank of Nigeria has guaranteed a non-interest banking license to Lotus Bank Limited. Lotus Bank hopes to create value and growth through digital innovation and best customer experience for Nigerians. Globally, non-interest banking is worth $2.23 trillion and is expected to grow to about $4 trillion by 2024. This type of banking is recommended to all Nigerians who desire to be involved in ethical and non-speculative business. The firm is founded and chaired by Hajara Adeola, who is also the founder and managing director of Lotus Capital, pioneers of non-interest finance in Nigeria. A statement explained that the bank is starting its operations on a solid foundation of experienced leadership and a strong advisory council of experts. Kenya has frozen an 82 billion shilling salary increments for all civil servants for 2 years starting from July. This follows a deal agreed with the International Monetary Fund to keep pay unchanged until 2025. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission revealed that the freeze, which highlights the gravity of the country's rapidly deteriorating cash flow situation, is marked by near stagnant revenues and worsening debt service obligations. The Commission said the decision to suspend implementation of the 3rd pay review cycle was made due to hard economic times caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. It comes months after the IMF revealed that Kenya had committed to keep civil service pay unchanged for 4 years after the fund's board approved a new loan for the country valued at $2.34 billion. And that's all the business we have for you on NC Continental Prime. There's more news coming up. I'm Tolulope Adelaru Balogun.
It's time to check out what's trending across the continent. Show Bankole and the rest of the digital team have more.
Big topics have taken over social media space in the last 24 hours, and I've got lots of people making comments back to back to back. Welcome to NC Trends, where we take you through the latest trends from Africa as well as internet users' reactions to these trends. I am Seun Bankole. Now, Nigerian gospel singer Adeyinka Alaseyori, who has been in the news after her colleague Tope Alabi criticized people who refer to God as Oniduromi, which means my guarantor, has finally reacted. In a video which surfaced online yesterday, the Nigerian gospel artist described Tope Alabi as our mother, and she sued for peace. In her words, let Jesus take the wheel. Mommy Tope Alabi is our mother. She's a mother to me and so many others, and by virtue, we have been blessed by her ministrations. Please let us worship and celebrate God. Let Jesus be at the center of it all. Now, her position has got many Nigerians talking. Now, let's take some opinions on social media. First, we have this comment from Papa's Cars, who says, she's just shot those who want to keep using that era of judgment by Tope Alabi to settle personal scores. Talking about Alaseyori there, we move away to this comment by Wande Daniel, who says that she, Alaseyori, is a preacher of love. Play me Odumeje by Indaboski. All right, we move on to this final comment from Sheyi Ate, I hope I got that correctly, who says that she has just won the Nobel Peace Prize. Alaseyori has just won the Nobel Peace Prize. All right, away from that, fans and lovers of popular reality TV show Big Brother Naija are super excited as the reunion of the 2020 lockdown season kicked off last night. Now, the 20 ex-housemates of Big Brother Naija Season 5 are back with their drama once again as the reunion affords them the opportunity to clear the air on pending issues and express their feelings towards each other. Taking to social media, we have this comment from Daniel Rega. He put out this tweet that reads, judging from the opening of the BB Nigeria reunion show, all I see is fake love amongst the housemates. Most housemates are pretentiously greeting each other after snubbing and throwing shades at each other online. These housemates act like bygones are bygones just to look good on camera, but deep down they are keeping grudges. Are they really keeping grudges? We'll find out as the show continues. Omo Wise says they all look super beautiful. Happy for their growth. Hashtag Big Brother Nigeria reunion. Finally, Ayomi at Abidemi Aregbe says that at Ebuka, I take God beg you. You just break every table I beg. We really can't wait for Ebuka to break tables at the Big Brother Nigeria reunion. Okay, we conclude in Southern Africa, where Zambia yesterday lost its first president, Kenneth Kaunda, at age 97. Also known as KK, the late president was one of the last of the generation of African leaders who fought colonialism, and he died of pneumonia. Africans have been on social media in their numbers mourning the icon. Now let's see some of the tributes online. Asa Nsinda. It says, good thing about Dr. Kenneth Kaunda was that he never stole public funds. Wow. And the country's resources during the time he was president of Zambia, 27 solid years. He was so humble. He left State House in 1991 as poor as he was when he entered State House in 1964. Go well, KK. Wow. 27 solid years. Okay, we move away to this comment from at the real Pizzo, and he says that my condolences to the Kaunda family and Zambian nation on the passing of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, a source of great wisdom, kind to all you met, and the epitome of what leadership should be. The profound imprint that you have left on society will last for many generations. Hashtag RIP Kaunda. Tony G. General says that we are now left as orphans in Africa with the departure of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, one of the forefathers of independent African state, Robala Pila Morena. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what that means. Okay, that's all on the segment, guys. Continue the conversation online by dropping a comment on Facebook or Instagram at New Central TV. Of course, our YouTube channel has lots of exciting and interesting social media gist. So remember to subscribe to New Central TV on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Shion Bankole.
Now, Sam Dandy is a standby to spice things up in the world of entertainment.
Thank you very much. And now to entertainment news. Nigerian singer Simi has just released Duduke in French. Now, this new version is coming in after the huge success of the 2020 hit. Now, Duduke is the Yoruba word for heartbeat, and within the context of this song, it describes the sounds produced from her heartbeats while she longs for her lover. Now, at the time of its release, it truly felt like a love song, but little did we know that Simi's intentions were way deeper than a regular love song. Lyrics like, "I cannot wait to see you, you are the treasure I've been waiting for," tells you a mother's love is the strongest, most unconditional, and purest love of all. To celebrate the video, which has over 40 million views on YouTube, Simi shared, "Throughout my career so far, my life has been changed many times, but this song more than changed my life. It connected me to you in most precious ways possible. So I want to say thank you for every time you played it over and over and over again." Well, of course, here's Duduke, the newly released French version. In revenue, the African continent, with an estimated population of 1.3 billion persons, has a capacity to create millions of jobs if it harnesses the potentials in the movie-making industry. This was a common consensus at the Legends of Nollywood's Awards Night held in Nigeria's southwestern city of Lagos. News Central's Mary Chinda has more in this report.
A round of applause for him. Central B, a round of applause for him. NS2B, Ngozi Ezono, a round of applause for her. Sorry. Yes,
it is a gathering of some of the finest talents in the motion picture industry in Nigeria. The essence is to celebrate the legends of the industry as well as seek areas of partnerships to grow both the industry's talents and its outputs.
Nollywood has the capacity to grow the economy of Nigeria, let's put it like that. If only we're giving the enabling environment. That's the only issue we have. We have no electricity, we have so much stuff that's not working for us, so much disadvantage. If only Nigerians, maybe the government or the people get to realize what it is we're doing here.
Stakeholders in Africa's biggest movie industry, Nigeria's Nollywood, say the industry has the capacity to evolve into a multi-trillion-dollar industry from a billion-dollar industry with increased government investment and partnerships with the private sector.
I started a digital thing. The Chinese came in, they overtook us and all this set of people. So what's happening to us? If truly we want to invest in the capacity building of the youths, we should think about what entertainment does to them. We have great writers, great song birds. What are we doing? Nollywood is not only movies, it's a humongous industry that government is being complacent about.
I think that in the nearest future, you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff. More foreign direct investment are going to come into the country. More bigger players are going to come. It's all about numbers. We do have the numbers in terms of Africa. You know, Africa is about 1.3 billion people. So we have no reasons, scrambling for crumbs, the way it is at the moment.
It is on record that Nigeria's Nollywood has since become the pride of Africa and provides employment opportunities for at least 100,000 youths.
Indeed, we're looking forward to the growth of this rich sector, and it's possible contribution to the continent at large. And that's all entertainment news. I am Sam Dandy.
Now in sports, top Nigerian athletes who are already in town for the national trials taking place in Lagos ahead of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics have been hopeful of heating qualification time. The national trials, which got underway on Thursday at the Yaba College of Technology, will be used to select Nigeria's contingent for the Tokyo Olympics, which is scheduled to hold from July 23rd to August 8, 2021, amidst the coronavirus pandemic. New Central Sports correspondent Oyinyechi Obara has more.
The opening ceremonies for the Tokyo Olympic Games are just days away. And despite Japan's battle against a fourth wave of COVID-19, these Nigerian athletes have been given another boost at qualifying for Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Another shot and another chance at booking a qualification spot at the Tokyo Olympic Games. With the surge of COVID-19 and concerns about the Games holding or not, the Nigerian Athletics Federation seek trials for their medal hopeful. The objective is to ensure qualification for Tokyo Olympic Games. Sequel to the drama that engulfs the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, athletes say the aspiration was to ensure that Nigeria wins at least 3 gold medals and set new national and Olympic records on track and field.
Trust God, every one of us, we are going to try our best. And aside trying our best, we really trust God to help us to achieve this target. So let's all put our hope in God, and I believe it will come.
I've been working on my everything in general. I've been working on it. It's just I hope it clicks when it comes to big stage. But my last meet I was very disappointed with the 11:02. I was like, no, I'm better than this. And when they start trials, I'm like, I'm gonna go. It's not just about going and win. I want to run well. I want to execute. And but this, like I said, it boosts my confidence. But above all, my training, everything has been going well. I'm healthier, and that's my greatest achievement this year for me. When you're healthier, you're stronger, your confidence is there. You just go and run, and whatever happens, happens. And I'm hoping for the best.
I'm hoping to have beat my national record for the women's discus. It's turned at the 63.30. Also beat that national record for Africa, all of Africa, which is 64 meters. And additionally, make it to the finals and get one of those gold medals for Team Nigeria. So that's the ultimate goal, and that's ultimately what I'm working towards.
Another title broken for some, a huge win and personal best for others. But the question still resonates if the game would go on or not. Japan has recorded about 750,000 COVID-19 cases and more than 13,000 deaths, with a rate of about 600 cases per 100 people. But these, according to the athletes, are just numbers. They confirmed that the surge in coronavirus cases is no deterrent in the quest to make Nigeria proud after all that has been put in preparation.
They shouldn't be worried about what the competitors are bringing to the country, because most of us, if we've been doing athletics all season, we've taken our shots, we've been tested regularly. I get tested 4 times a week. So I'm not really worried about what's out there as far as the virus. And at the same time, you can take all the precautions and still get sick. Some people take no precautions and they don't get sick. So some of it is dumb luck. So I do my best to take care of myself and take care of people around me, and the rest leave it to God.
Having the games, a process that people have been preparing for years, I know it's difficult to just cancel the entire competition. So hopefully in the next few coming weeks with vaccine availability, hopefully that begins to surge in Tokyo. I know that there's not a lot of vaccines available, so hopefully with more access and continuing the proper protocols for COVID, that we're able to have a safe championships there.
The Athletics Federation of Nigeria had promised to continue providing the needed support for the athletes as they continue the Olympic preparation. So far for Nigeria, Esa Brume from the women's long jump, Amusa Toby from the women's 100 meters hurdle, Blessing Okagbare from the women's 100 meters and 200 meters, Divine Oduduru from the men's 100 and 200 meters, Raymond Ekewo from the men's 100 meters, Michelle Rishe Shekiri from the men's 100 meters, and Chukwuemeka Nekwechi from the men's shot put have all qualified for the Olympics in Nigeria.
There are no clear indications that the Japanese government or the IOC would cancel the games, but there remain significant hurdles to clear in the final days of preparation for the Tokyo Olympic Games. I am Onyechi Obaro for News Central TV.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather, what the weather will look like across the continent tomorrow. That's all on NC Continental Prime, but before we go, let's take another look at the top stories. Gas explosion in Lagos, southwest of Nigeria, leaves 5 people dead. Liberian ALIEU KOSIAH sentenced to 20 years in prison by a Swiss court for war crimes. And finally, we told you that gunmen have kidnapped 6 senior civil servants in Cameroon. Remember to follow us on social media with News Central TV. You can download our mobile app on App Store and Play Store. You can also watch News Central live on StarTimes channel 274 and Avo TV channel 23 and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Benga Aboroa.